Okay, so let's go ahead and look at your mixtures worksheet. So for this, you're going to see how a group of students did 2 different experiments with different mixtures, and you're just going to answer the questions by using the information from above. So everything you need to know for your questions is going to be found in these 2 experiments and up here, okay? Just so if you get confused, just go back to this first page. You don't need to use your book or the internet to find the answers. Everything you need is going to be right here in this part. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at your questions. And for your questions, all I'm going to do is just highlight or clarify some things that the questions are asking. Just so if you get confused, it'll kind of help you when you do this on your own. Okay, so let's look at number 1. It says, which material has a shape that can be described as a cube? So for this one, I already have it underlined. So I want you to underline material has a shape described as cube. So when you go back to do this question, you're going to look for the material that is described as a cube, okay? That has that shape that's described as a cube, all right? So let's go ahead and flip over to your other questions. All right, and number 2, I have that one underlined as well. But let's read the question. It says, which of these would be the best order for arranging the materials from biggest to smallest? So go ahead and underline arranging the materials because that's what you're going to be doing for this question. And make sure that you remember that it's biggest to smallest, okay? Because if you do smallest to biggest, then your answer is going to be wrong, okay? So make sure you pay attention to that, biggest to smallest. All right, let's look at number 3. Your question or your directions are place the correct word in each box to complete the sentence. So your sentence and your boxes are down here. So some information that is helpful for this one is for this first box, you're going to put a mixture in this first box. So you're either going to put gravel, talcum powder, or salt for this first box. And for the second box, you're going to put a descriptor word. So your only 2 descriptor words are brown and white. But make sure that whatever mixture you put right here in this first box, it's going to match whatever it turns to, okay? So make sure whatever 2 words you put in these 2 boxes correlate with each other or match each other. So that's something you're going to have to go back to the first page to look at to figure out, all right? Okay, number 4, if a student was observing one of the materials that was described as brown and hard, what material would they most likely have? All right, so we're going to underline materials and then underline described as brown and hard. Okay, so when you go back to answer this question, you know that you're going to find a material that is described as brown and hard. So that's going to be your keywords for this question, okay? Number 5, which 2 observations would be the most helpful in telling the salt and talcum powder apart? So I want you to underline most helpful. Oh, let's do which 2 observations are most helpful telling salt and talcum powder apart. Okay, so these are the things that you need to think about when answering this question. These are your keywords to think about. So what 2 observations are most helpful in telling salt and talcum powder apart? Okay. All right, number 6, if a student were to mix the talcum powder and water solution with the soil and water solution, what would be the most likely observation? All right, so let's go ahead and underline mix the getting kind of crazy. Talcum powder and water solution with soil and water solution. Oh, it's hard doing this with one hand. Okay. So that's what you're going to look for when you answer this question. You're going to look to see when you mix talcum powder and water solution with soil and water, what would be most likely the observation. So what would most likely happen for that mixture? All right, last question, number 7. Sort the information below into 2 groups based on what happened to each material when water was added. So for this one, simply, you're just gonna look at the mixtures that they give you up here. You're gonna flip over to the front page and look at the section that talks about how they dissolved, and that's how you're gonna fill in this chart, okay? So remember, all of the key information you need is on the front page in those experiments, okay? And if you have any questions, just let me know.